Hi everyone. Okay, I know my setup looks a little different. I am currently reorganizing some stuff in my room, so yeah, that's a whole other story. I'm redecorating my room, so don't mind my bed situation or whatever. I'm getting it together. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this idea of being friends with a narcissist after the breakup and why the narcissist is still in contact with you. A lot of people get very confused about this and they start to make excuses. I'm doing this video because I currently know somebody who broke up with a narcissist and then they remained friends with a narcissist, and now they're talking about, whether or not they want to get back with that narcissist. And I'm just like, eh. Now, everyone's story and situation is going to look different, so I cannot tell you what to do with your life. I'm just going to give you advice based off of my experience and the experience that I've heard from other people about this. So let me answer the question right off the bat, okay? Can you be friends with a narcissist after the breakup? No. Narcissists are the type of people that are only friends with people who they can get something from. If a narcissist is still friends with you, they can get something from you. I don't know what that something is, okay? I don't know if you're giving them emotional supply. I don't know if you're crossing boundaries in a different way and giving them physical supply. Hopefully not. But I know a lot of us sometimes make those mistakes. Sometimes it could be, mental supply, right? You might just, get into arguments with them and they need that kick, right? To feel like somebody care. Maybe you're acting jealous over them even though you guys are not together. All of that different stuff. Emotional relationships make us feel more attached because we're constantly having these strong emotions, right? Narcissistic relationships, you are constantly having stronger emotions. You're constantly having these arguments, these highs, these ups and downs, these highs and lows constantly. And that makes you feel attached to your partner. So a lot of people, when they leave their relationship, that attachment is still very much there. And it's very hard for them to get to that place where they're like, okay, like I know we're over with, so let me just like clean slate, cut them out, cut everything off, and if you're a guy watching this, the same thing for you as well. So it's very hard for us to do that and we still want to keep some attachments. We want to be friends, right? And being friends is like, it's like I want you in my life, but not in the role you played before. The narcissist doesn't understand that. The narcissist is not able to be friends with people that they used to date, because when they were dating you, you had a specific purpose in their life. And when you don't serve that purpose anymore, you're displaced. And a lot of men, especially men narcissists, will not be friends anymore with women that they dated because they no longer have access to them with certain things, right? The physical aspect is one of them. Depending on what you're doing in your relationship, I'm not making judgments. Everybody has their own path that they have followed. We know the right answer, but everybody has done what they've done, right? And so some people, whether you might still be kissing with the narcissist or whatever, you might still be hand holding or hugging or cuddling and things like that, which you got to cut off everything when you break up with a narcissist. But some people make the mistakes of still engaging in those things because they have the attachments, the feelings, the familiarity with that person. And it's hard to just cut those things off. So they're friends with them, but they're friends who are just not going, as much as they did, doing as much as they did before, but they're still doing way too much for just friends, right? So they're special friends with the narcissist. So a lot of times the narcissist will engage with you if they can still get something from you. If the narcissist feels like they can't get anything from you, they're going to cut you off. Like, that's just point blank period. So if you say, let's be friends, but you stop hanging out with them, they're not getting you're not going to be their emotional confidant anymore. You're not going to partake in their pity parties. You're not going to, cross any physical boundaries. You won't even hold hands with the narcissist. The narcissist is going to be like, I'm not doing this. There's no reason for you to be in my life. They only saw you as that very specific role. You fit. They objectified you, right? You have to think about this. You're objectified in the narcissist's mind. That means you fit in a specific box. And if you don't fit in that box anymore, then it's time to get rid of. So get somebody else who can fit in that particular box. So the narcissist sometimes will keep you around until they find somebody else. Or if they have an inkling that you're going to get rid of them soon, they will cut you off to beat you to the races. So that way they're not the one being discarded, because all narcissists have a deep fear of abandonment and rejection at their core. Okay, so knowing that and keeping that in mind, they're very afraid of being abandoned and rejected. So if they feel like that's going to happen to them, they will try to beat you to the punch and do it first. So that's something you really got to keep in mind. So you can't be friends with them because they want something from you. Now, here's another thing that people don't recognize. if you were the one who broke up with the narcissist, you're the person who cut contact, you're the person who said, we're not doing this anymore because of whatever reason, the narcissist might try to seek revenge on you, which means that they're going to try to get back in your good graces so that they can then to be the one to discard you or break up with you. Narcissists don't break up, they discard, which means you're no longer useful to me. I'm going to throw you away like a toy, right? Well, human beings break up and they're like, I don't want to cut this relationship off, but it's not working and I don't know how to do it. And this person is important to me, especially if you've been together for some time, years, right? So they don't know how to break up. They're not going to sit you down and have a mature conversation and say, hey, this wasn't working out. We tried our best, but we're just not getting along. And I value you too much to keep letting us both suffer. They can't do that, right? Everything about them is petty and immature. And even if they pretend like they want to do that, they're not capable of doing it. They're gonna, in the back of their mind, they're going to be plotting revenge on how to get back at you for trying to break up with them. So the narcissist might be trying to get revenge on you. So if you've broken up with them and they're still in contact, they might be trying to get revenge. How do you know that? If they're just being nice to you, it's because you give them some sort of supply. Whether that's physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, whatever. That means that you're still serving a purpose in their life that they can't necessarily find somewhere else, or you're giving them supply in a way that they don't get somewhere, regularly, right? So maybe they need something from you every once in a while, you're always giving it to them. You indulge in their pity parties. You make up for their mistakes. You make excuses for them. You triangulate with them. That could be a reason. You could cross physical boundaries. Maybe they're lonely and they just want someone every once in a while who they can, be affectionate with or have affection towards them so they can feel good about themselves. So you're willing to do that, right? If they're being nice consistently, they're not going to purposely try to sabotage it. So that's when a narcissist will be consistent. But if a narcissist acts like they want to be in your life and yet is doing things to actively sabotage it. So for example, they're asking you to hang out, and the whole week up until hanging out, you're like, okay, I don't know, and then you finally say yes. And they're being so nice to you and so sweet, you guys are getting along and being friends. And then the minute you hang out with them, they're having an attitude, they're in a bad mood, they're acting like they don't want to be there, and you're kind of like, you're switching up, like, this is weird. Like, when we talked, you seemed like you were so excited, you asked me to be here, and the minute I show up, you have a problem with it. If that's what's going on, more than likely the narcissist is only in your life because they want to seek revenge. And it's basically, they're hoovering you, right? They're trying to get you back, and then once they hoover you and they think that they've got you, then they will devalue you, which means that they have now, it's like, I'm going to prop you up. They'll talk about, you're the only person who's there for me. I love you. I wish we could be together. I know we have things we need to work through, but I'm committed to trying to do it, right? And then the minute you're like, okay, well, we'll see each other, right? We won't be in a relationship, but let's just hang out and see how it goes. Then they'll devalue you, so they'll make you feel bad. They'll treat you horribly, right? And then they'll go back into that love bombing, right? So it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know. It's just weird because we've broken up. I don't know how to act around you. And so you're like, okay, I understand. And then they hoover you again, try to make contact. Hey, let's hang out again. Let's do a do-over. Let me come over to your apartment. I'll bring some Chipotle. I'll bring some pizza, whatever it is, right, that you like. And then we'll watch, let's watch the show together and just have a good time and let it be no stress, or let's go to the movies and let it be no stress. Let's go for a walk and we're just not stressed about it, right? So they'll do that kind of stuff. And then the minute you're there, they'll devalue you again, treat you horribly, say mean things to you. They might disappear for a point in time. So they might disappear for a week or two, not talking to you, and they'll make up something they were mad about. Well, when you said this, that made me upset. When you said this, I just didn't like that, or I just felt uncomfortable, or I don't know about this, right? So they're wishy-washy. A lot of times the narcissist, if you've broken up with them, they're trying to create a scenario where they can get you back. It may not be boyfriend and girlfriend fully. It could just be, we're talking to each other regularly. We're open to the idea of dating again. We're talking about dating again. They could, just to get you to that place, just so that they can drop you all over again. Like, that's the whole point. A lot of narcissists will use that because they're afraid of abandonment, rejection, and embarrassment. If they're embarrassed about the breakup, right? For whatever reason that is, they could have told everyone that you're the one, they're going to get married. Now they're embarrassed. So they're creating lies so that they don't seem like the bad guy. Oh, well, I really, really wanted this to be it, but she just wasn't all these things, and these are all the problems with her, and she was just a problem, right? They're gonna lie and manipulate to play the victim because they want people to feel sorry for them. That's what they do, right? So they're creating the scenario so they can discard you, so that they can say they broke up with you. Now, you know the truth. God knows the truth. And anybody who knows how dysfunctional they really are know good and well they did not break up with you. Everybody knows that. Everybody in the right mind knows you broke up with that person. And they might just indulge a narcissist because maybe that's their mom or their siblings or their friends. They're not going to say anything, but anybody in their right mind knows that the narcissist was broken up with, not that it was the other way around. Because the only way the narcissist is going to break up with you is if they have another supply in the way. And if there's another supply right there, or they're getting it from somewhere else, it could be a mom. Sometimes they are triangulated with their mother. If they have another supply in the way, then they'll be with another person soon after you guys break up, and they're not going to talk about you. But if they're talking about you, it's because they're trying to control the narrative before you get a chance to speak up. Why? Because they knew that you were abused. They knew that they abused you. And they don't want you to say anything. And they know that if you speak up and tell the truth before they say something, then people are going to believe you. They know if they say something first, people are going to believe them first. So unfortunately, it doesn't matter your character. You could be the nicest, sweetest, loving, most kind, polite person ever. And if the narcissist says something bad about you, unfortunately, because they spoke first, a lot of people will believe that they're the person who said something. That's why I'm not for waiting until after everything is over with to start speaking up. You should just start speaking up about mistreatment right away because even if you're in the relationship, speak up about mistreatment. They're not going to like it. But, once you get away from it, at least nobody could say, oh, she never talked about anything. They'll be like, well, she did mention when you guys were together, But unfortunately, we don't do that because we don't want to look stupid. So anyway, just going back to the topic of whether or not you can be friends with a narcissist, sure, you can go ahead and try, but you're only friends with them because they can get something from you. It could be you make them look good, and they need to convince other people or our future supply that they can be friends with their exes because they know that people might look at them bad if all of their exes were crazy, quote unquote, right? Like women are starting to catch on to that. Men are starting to catch on to that too. Like everybody else is the problem but you. Oh, that must mean that you're the problem, right? And if they're being inconsistent with you and they want to be in your life, 99% of the time, it's because they want to seek revenge. Don't be surprised if you start hearing through the grapevine, through mutual people that you've known, through online stuff, the narcissist starts saying things like, so glad I dodged a bullet. And you're thinking in your head, how did you dodge a bullet? But let me just tell you something, okay? Let me give you a little word of encouragement. If you're not a narcissist, which if you're dating a narcissist, most likely you're not going to be a narcissist as well. But if you are dating a narcissist, or you're married to a narcissist or whatever, and you're worried about what they're going to say about you after the breakup, don't worry about them. Don't worry about what they say, what lies they contrive. Don't worry about it. And the reason I'm telling you not to worry about it is because as a healthy person, as you move on from the relationship and you begin to heal, which will start to happen quickly if you focus on you and do not focus on them, you'll start to see the dysfunction that the relationship had, and very quickly you're not going to want to be in contact with them. Even though I was in contact with narcissists for, in contact with them for 3 months after we broke up. After 2 months, when I started seeing the whole hoovering and the devalue thing go back and forth, I had a conversation with him that if he ever tried that one more time, then we would never ever be in contact. Now, if I was smart back then and I'd known better, I would have just cut it off, but I didn't know, y'all. So I was just, trying to set boundaries. I was new to this. So I had that conversation with him, right? And he tried to beat me to the punch on it. But by the time he tried to beat me to the punch, like, okay, well, let's not be in contact. I honestly didn't care. I didn't miss the narcissist. I felt more at peace with them not in my life than actually being in my life. And I told him that, in that conversation, like I actually feel better when we're not in contact because of this, but the attachment there and him pretending he still loved me made me feel guilty about just like cutting the cord. So for a lot of you, right, you're worried about what that narcissist is going to say, what that narcissist, so you're thinking, if you work on healing yourself, you will not miss them. I promise you, after a few months, you might have memories that you like, but most of the time you're going to think about like, everything with that person just ended up turned into dirt. Nothing produced good fruit in that relationship. Nothing was peaceful about that relationship. For every good moment, there were 10 bad that you had to go through to get that one good moment. And so you're going to start to heal and not care. I got to the place probably, I would say about 6-7 months after the breakup. I think I'm like even more healed now than I was back then, right? But at that time, about 6 or 7 months after we completely broke up, we cut contact. Like, I got to the point where I was like, he could say literally anything he wants to say about me. Like, I genuinely don't care. Like, whatever makes him feel good on the inside, if he needs to believe it so that he can sleep at night, that's fine. But we know the truth about the narcissist. We know the absolute truth. No matter how much they lie and manipulate to play the victim, they're going to end up back in the same place with somebody else, new situation, new people, new key players, new objects in their fantasy, and they're going to end up right back in the same place. Why? Because of their behavior. We have an opportunity, because we're not narcissistic or we're not narcissists, to work on ourselves, go to counseling, get new friend groups, date new people, experience real love, not narcissistic love, that real basically objectification and obsession that is masqueraded as love. We get an opportunity to experience real love and to develop something real and long lasting and consistent and truthful and honest. And the narcissist knows deep down inside they're not capable of doing that, not without real work. So they're gonna, and we know, if we're being honest, they were very unlikable when we dated them. We didn't even really like them that much. Like, there's things we liked about them. We loved them more than we liked these people. So to be honest, let them say what they need to say. Don't worry about who they're dating. Don't be possessive, protective. I don't even know if the person I was with dated somebody else after me. I don't know, and I don't care. He could date whoever he wants to. He could end up dating Rihanna tomorrow, and it would not make me a difference, okay? Why? Because I know the experience that I had with him, and I know how dysfunctional it was, and I don't want that. So you have to be of the same mind and think really to yourself, like, cutting contact is for my best. If we had such a great friendship, maybe this relationship would have worked, but it didn't. And it didn't work because of all sorts of things. And it wasn't just that the relationship was bad, but think about it. Did you really have a friendship with a narcissist? Probably not. So I know it's hard because of the attachments you have, but trust me, it's easier if you cut the cord rather than if you continue to let little things wait, because the more you hold on to, the easier it is to get caught back up with that narcissist. The number one drug that we have in narcissistic relationships is hope. The idea that something's going to change or get better, and it never ever does. And then we get more devastated, more drawn out, more worn out, and we lose more of ourselves in the process waiting for somebody to change. The narcissist does exactly what you've been asking them to do the whole time once you break up or you threaten to break up. And you have to ask yourself, why did it take for me to leave you to do the things I'd asked you to do? And then also think about this. If they change after the breakup, or they change when you threaten to break up, that means they could have done that all along. So that means this person naturally is not what you're looking for. Naturally, they have to work really hard to even be a decent person to date. They have to work really hard. That's why they pretend and put on that mask, because they know if they were themselves in the beginning, you would have never dated them. So recognize that. If you recognize it enough to break up, don't stay attached. Don't make that stupid decision so many of us make of trying to be their friend. You cannot be their friend. They don't have friends. They have people that they objectify and use, and people that are there for a specific purpose. And they play roles with people. They don't have relationships. So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to talk more about these things and other things coming soon. If you have any topic suggestions, please leave them in the comment section. And again, if you're a man, you could be experiencing the same thing with a woman, so don't limit yourself. All right, love you. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye.